Okay, let's see why Lark Davis believes if you don't own zero point zero 0.01 Bitcoin, you will be broke.
We have to be honest here. 0.01 Bitcoin is not going to make you rich anymore. Not even close. You're not going to be able to buy a yacht or a Lambo, any of that kind of stuff with 0.01 Bitcoin. After all, 0.01 BTC is around $1,000. However, you'll be in a much better position than most of the population by having that much Bitcoin. And if all the crazy Bitcoin predictions come true, there will probably be a time when you'll probably be a part of the global 10%, at least by having much Bitcoin. If you doubt it, let me convince you over the next 10 minutes and decide for yourself at the end of this video if it's worth it to even go for 0.01 BTC at this point if you're on zero. A lot of people ask me this question. Hey, Lark, how much Bitcoin do you have? They ask because, of course, they're curious or they simply want to know how they're faring compared to another person. And the best answer is not nearly damn enough. Gosh darn it. However, we need to be realistic. An ordinary person like you or me doesn't have the capacity to own thousands of Bitcoins like BlackRock or MicroStrategy or the billionaire.
But this is where business owners can. So this is what I've been showing business owners. Yes, as individuals, it's hard to own a lot of Bitcoin because, okay, let's say you pay yourself 100K a year. A Bitcoin is 100K. So you're not going to be able to spend all your money on a Bitcoin unless you use Stack it.ai, join the waitlist, download our free PDF in the description. But a business makes more than 100K if it can pay people 100K. So your business could be buying a lot of Bitcoin as you see, BlackRock, banks, all these countries are starting to buy a lot of Bitcoin. So we as individuals or as business owners can jump the line and buy Bitcoin ahead of them and Ethereum.
And mega whales and all that kind of stuff. I certainly don't have an extra $50 billion burning a hole in my pocket here, okay? However, if you have a 700 plus credit score, you qualify for Chase's new program where you can access. That does not mean that you cannot be part of. That does not mean that you can burning a hole in my pocket here, okay? However, that does not mean that you cannot be part of the Bitcoin Club. $1,000, yeah, it's a relatively small amount in the grand scheme of things, but it is an achievable amount of Bitcoin for the relatively average person to be able to hold, okay? The average hourly rate in the USA is around $28, so that means you only have to work for 35 hours to get 0.01 Bitcoin. It's crazy how fast that.
The problem that I see is when people say stuff like that is, yeah, but I got to pay my bills. And then whatever's left over, I can put into Bitcoin. And what if I don't have any left over? I'm already negative. Like I need to use my credit cards to even pay my bills. And this is where like if you're in that situation, you need to figure out where you can sacrifice, not just for Bitcoin, but in general. If you are spending the exact amount that you're making, you have to work the rest of your life. You have to invest in something. And if you're a business owner and this is the same thing within your business, you need to figure out how to spend less in your business. And what I do is I make sure I don't spend, I spend only 80% of what we make, maximum, sometimes 85. But 100% of it goes into Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then I borrow that 85% to live, to pay expenses. And that gets me a lot more Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Has changed. So it's less than a week's work. And I know most people can't afford to spend a week's salary on Bitcoin. Most people don't even have $1,000 sitting around for an emergency. If they get a flat tire, they're screwed. But aside from $28 a day for the next 2 months, that could be something more attainable for the average person. And just dollar cost average on Bitcoin. Better yet, don't stop at 0.01 Bitcoin and just keep grinding until you get to 0.1.
So that's the real move right there. Just buy a little bit over a long period of time. And that's what Stack It AI does. Basically, you deposit your money, borrow to pay expenses. You can deposit 1,000, borrow 800, and it will invest $1,000 for you every time you do that, dollar cost averaging. Now, every month we go and we pay bills, whether that's personal or business bills. You could be doing this every month and definitely get to 1.0, zero point zero 0.01 Bitcoin pretty fast. Almost everybody in Stack has that. But again, download our free PDF to learn more.
Bitcoin. Admittedly, we'll probably be peaking for the price sometime in 2025, so the upside is smaller compared to when you started. If you'd started in 2024 or earlier 2024, of course, or 2023, either you do this now, start dollar cost averaging, wait for the bear market. It's your choice, but dollar cost averaging over a period of time has always worked out. For me, it's better sooner than later. Why? Because it gives me the assurance that I'm slowly exiting fiat and building that Bitcoin position. Dollar cost averaging will teach you, of course, the discipline of slowly stacking Bitcoin no matter what's happening. And it's the simplest way of building a Bitcoin position as well as your wealth in the crypto space over time. You don't have to study market cycle theories or Fibonacci retracements or Elliott wave theories, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all these charts to me is like horoscope. You can see what you want to see in these charts. And the true thing is, every month we do spend money on bills. Every month for the rest of our life till we die, we will be spending money on bills. So why not? Also, dollar cost average into an asset that if it grows like everybody believes it will grow, you will be rich. So what Stack AI does is combine both those things.
You just keep buying Bitcoin. You just need to know what Bitcoin is going to be worth a lot more in the future. And you need to stack as much of it as you can over the next years, period. Think of it as saving some money in the bank for the future. But instead of saving in fiat, which robs you of your purchasing power, you're saving in a financial instrument that will continue to increase in value over time. And you know what else is a big deal? Paying taxes. That can, of course, seriously affect your long-term gains when it comes to your cryptocurrency journey, which is why I want to introduce today's sponsor, which is iTrust Capital. They are a crypto IRA provider, and they are bringing your existing IRA. Look at the number.
So if they're gonna have their sponsor, I've been talking about Stackit.ai. Stackit.ai lets you buy crypto with your and helps you pay your bills at the same time. So you basically deposit your money, borrow, pay your bills, and it dollar cost averages the full amount you deposited in. But also, as that money grows, as I believe he's about to explain, when it's time to use it, you don't need to sell it. You can just borrow off of it tax free. So again, download the free PDF, stackit.ai.
In the USA, the top 20% of earners are considered to be upper class, and that means that you need to be earning more than $130,000 a year. But that number can be higher or lower depending on where you live and what your cost of living is. Obviously, if you live outside the USA and reside in some developing country, the numbers can be much, much lower. Now, as for net worth, according to recent data from the Federal Reserve, the top 10% have an average net worth of around $2.65 million, which is a long shot with just 0.01 BTC. If we're keeping it real here, guys, all right? At least for any of the foreseeable cycles and probably in our lifetimes. If you want a comfortable life, a net worth of $793,000 is enough to put you in the upper class in the top 20%, at least in America. Your 0.01 BTC or even 0.1 Bitcoin probably not going to put you in the upper class either, at least not yet, not for any foreseeable future, years and years, decades probably down the line. However, you have to think of Bitcoin as a seed. There's nothing you can do with it but plant it and wait. Many investors with much more resources than us believe that Bitcoin worth a lot more in the future. For instance, ARK Invest's Kathy Wood believes $3.8 million is possible by 2030. So your 0.01 BTC will be worth $38,000. That's not a small amount of money, is it? If you kept stacking and were able to stack 0.1 BTC, which is a very attainable goal for the average person, even at these prices, then you would have $380,000, which is actually a bit of a small fortune. So however you look at it, that is a 3,800% return. That happens in the 2030s. That's pretty damn good, and that beats the S&P 500 hands down, and any savings account and bank, of course. And I know that's not really enough to retire, but if you wait some more, according to MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor, we could have a $13 million Bitcoin by 2045, which is like 20 years from now. It's a long damn time, but look, that's just for the base case, by the way. If we get lucky, the bull case scenario is $49 million. So having 0.01 Bitcoin would be almost worth $500,000, or having 0.1 BTC would be $4.9 million. I know we have to factor in inflation, so that would probably be more like $2 million in today's money. Still pretty awesome, though, if you ask me. But I know you don't want to sit around and wait to be an old geezer to enjoy your life, but we have to remember the Bitcoin game is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a don't.
Yeah, but what if you get to $5 million? Again, if you're stacking for years and putting most of the money you make in borrowing against it, and it turns into $5 million, you could just borrow. You don't need to wait. This is the big thing I don't like about investors talking about just buy and never sell and just hold forever. I want to use the money I've invested.
Go poor slow scheme. Eh? We have, of course, going rich for the rich, get rich quick game. We have the Meeting Point Casino for that, okay? Bitcoin's different. Having Bitcoin is about slowly grinding until you make it. 0.01 BTC or even 0.1 BTC is not a crazy amount, and the average person can do that. But who says you have to stop stacking when you reach these numbers? There are only every 21 million Bitcoin, and about 4 million are lost forever. So everybody's going to be fighting for the remaining 17 million coins. Aim for that one coin. That one Bitcoin's your golden ticket, man. But of course, most of the Bitcoin out there is already getting gobbled up by whales and BlackRock and MicroStrategy and countries now buying all the rest of it. They're buying more Bitcoin than the miners can produce. Let's not even think about the more than 58 million millionaires around the world, predicted to be about 65, 68 million millionaires by the end of the decade. The impending Bitcoin reserve race between countries, and yeah, dare I say it, having a fraction of Bitcoin could indeed be a damn big deal. It's going to get you in the club, man. It's a simple case of supply and demand. Bitcoin's going to keep going to the moon. Also, if you look at the bigger picture, Bitcoin is now just 0.2% of all assets. It only needs to be 3% of all assets to achieve over $1.3 million. And that's again based on the current amounts of money in the world. And I bet it's going to happen in the 2030s. It's a scarce asset that will be more important than oil and gold combined. It is the end game in wealth building. Having a small amount is not going to make you rich in a year or two. But if you keep stacking diligently and you understand the big picture of Bitcoin, you will someday be able to get away from that 9 to 5 job that you hate and give your children, of course, a better future.
So I believe you should be trying to stack as much as you can as well, just like he's saying. But again, I would be putting, and I am putting as much money as I earn into Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I may be crazy. You don't have to do as much money. You can do half, 10%, but you still can get a lot more Bitcoin if you deposit money and borrow to spend instead of just putting in how much you have after is left over. And if you're having a business, even better. You should in no way not be creating a Bitcoin treasury.